got some things that you can do now to help make sure that you will have a smooth transition into retirement. And like it or not, we talk about it every week, it seems, Parker. We're talking about a budget, your lifestyle expense report. However you want to phrase it, we got to have it.
And it's a tough conversation piece, and I'm not saying you need to do the crazy like budgeting spreadsheets, worksheets, stuff that can take hours out of your life. It's mainly just knowing what goes in and out. So if you do online banking, we said this on another show before, Steve, is just go to the debits column. Don't categorize, don't factor, don't say this happened once, and just see what you're truly spending. What's the true standard of living? And then if you want to back into the budget and see what the fixed expenses and variable expenses are, you can do it that way. But when you're coming to retirement planning, I know a lot of people have a foundational piece, but the only thing that can truly implode a plan once it's been set is honestly probably the spending, which goes back to you, of course, is if you say you can live off $5,000 a month, and then that's auto adjusted for inflation, of course, but then you're 2 years later, you're going into retirement and that number is now $9,000 a month. That's not inflation.
No, that's not inflation. That's not inflation.
That is spending. That is spending 100%. So knowing the baseline is always important, but you want to be able to know the discretionary too. Because I would say, I mean, the perfect situation is the discretionary is more than the baseline, but you're able to maintain that standard of living in retirement because you're going to want to travel, go out to eat, do all the fun stuff and everything as well.
All right.
Looking at the retirement confidence survey this year, Americans have had the largest 1 year drop in confidence of having enough money to live through retirement since 2008.
No kidding. Boy, that's a bad sign.
That's insane. 52% of people saying that debt has had a significant impact on their ability to save for retirement, and over a third of Americans are living off credit cards in order to make ends meet. And that's, I mean, people blame credit cards, people blame advertising, but I mean, it's always going to be personal. It's always going to be what you're looking at. And we'll talk about this later. There's always stuff that happens and you can't really get around it, but you got to have that budgeting mentality. This is just how I was raised, in that, like, you spend only what you can. You save 10% for yourself, 10% for emergencies, and then 10% for charity, church, or giving, and live off 70. That's just where it was. And I know that is more of the, what they always call the boomer mentality, but that's actually just good budgeting and good savings. Now, I know Dave Ramsey talks about it too, the 10%, but the ideal goal is always to save more. So when you get a pay raise, you get an increase, the perfect situation would be putting that towards saving and still living off the baseline 70. Sure. That helps you buy a house, pay off debt quicker. That helps you buy big budget sheet items you want. That helps in case of emergencies like roofing, air conditioning, the stuff you can't help. And then that also helps retirement planning. Like you just said, auto deposits and auto savings are great, but a lot of people don't do it. And the biggest impact you can have is like going to a new company. They have a retirement plan. They're matching in that plan, and you're not even putting in that match. That's 100% loss on return on investment. Yeah. So you're losing that. So you're technically hurting yourself by just not doing that. And if you set it up immediately from day one, you're not going to have to back into it later. Interest rates have gone up in the housing market now, but they didn't for 30 years. Yeah. And we had people 8 years ago, they're like, well, I put every dollar towards paying off a house. And now we're getting to a retirement plan in their 50s. They have nothing saved. And I was like, I get that, but that's where a lot of people misunderstand a lot of the debt management conversation is, what was your interest rate on that house? 3%? Yeah. So you got a 3% return on your money over 30 years. A lot of people don't understand compounding. And they could have easily made, let's say, low end 6 to 8%, even though we know the market did better over the last decade. But let's say they would have doubled the amount of money they have saved and still been able to pay off the house. Wow. And that's what people don't forget. It's all about compounding, but people think for now, not for later. AARP said family caregivers who leave the workforce to care for a parent lose on average over $300,000 in wages and benefits over their lifetime. Gosh. And these estimates range from $284,000 for men to $325,000 for women. And this evidence suggests that a caregiver of aging parents in midlife may substantially increase women's risk of living in poverty in old age.
Oh my gosh.
It's natural to want to help your loved ones, but but it is a balancing act because you don't want to always jeopardize your savings, your retirement for it. But they said 2 in 5 Americans have had to provide financial support to a family member just in the past year. And also on the other side of that, you always just got to make sure that you're able to take care of you, your family, your goals and objectives, but investing in you is also taking care of you.